What's up, guys? Max here, back with a brand new episode of the Scuttlebutt Show. Hope you're all doing great out there, wherever you are. Whatever you're doing, you might be watching the State of the Union address, which is going on right now, starting probably as we speak. I was debating if I should have a show tonight. I know a lot of people are going to be deciding between watching me and watching that. I actually think it'll probably start late, and I'll probably be able to watch it after this is done. I like to watch all presidential addresses. I like to hear all presidents, what they have to say when they speak, so I'll be watching it after this. But at the time of recording this episode, I don't know what's going on with that. This could be a different world by the time that that's over, and we'll talk about that. What's up, FNG83? Welcome. Larry D, Harry Lime Pie, Eviana, Cold Comfort, Iron Lotus, Nuggets, everybody in the chat. It is great to see you here. Everyone who hasn't checked in yet, it's great to see you here. I have a huge, insane show for you guys today. It is really wild, some of the stories that I have today, especially regarding stuff going on in Ukraine. We're going to talk about Steven Seagal. We're going to talk about a crazy Army vet on the loose over in Ukraine. We have a lot to go over. And at the end of the show today, I have a story about something coming up that I am so excited for. It's difficult to put into words, but I just can't wait to share it with you. Once you see it, you'll know exactly what I mean. But because we have so much to go over today, I don't want to waste any time, any of your precious time on this Tuesday evening back in the United States. So let's jump right into today's first story. No, Steven Seagal is not fighting with Russian special forces in Ukraine, or is he? We'll talk about it here in a minute. So we've got a breaking or developing story as to whether or not Steven Seagal is on the side of the Russians in Ukraine fighting against Ukrainians. Okay, so let me first preface this with the backstory, with the reason we're talking about this in the first place. Russian troops continue to struggle to make headway in the invasion into Ukraine, particularly in claiming the capital city of Kiev, from this article at Military Times. If you're the Russian President Vladimir Putin, who are you going to call? Steven Seagal, obviously, the article says. So basically what happened is somebody posted a photo of a tweet alleging it was from CNN. The post said that Steven Seagal is working alongside Russian special forces on the outskirts of Gostomel airfield. So here's the tweet right here. You're seeing it on your screen. It's Steven Seagal in his uniform with body armor on, and he's wearing a hat with a triangle logo, and he's got his goatee and everything. He's standing here with other soldiers in different uniforms. It says here from CNN, intelligence agencies around the world have spotted American actor Steven Seagal among Russian special forces positioned around the outskirts of Gostomel airfield near Kiev, captured by Russian airborne troops. And who retweeted this image? None other than one of the most famous men in the world, Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan retweets this, and and then we find out that in fact this image of Steven Seagal is from a movie that he was in called Killing Salazar, or you might know it as Cartels. You can go look this movie up. It's not a real story. It's not really a tweet by CNN is what they're claiming. So the original tweet by CNN here is claimed to have been a Photoshop, though there's no history of it on CNN's Twitter. The actual origin of the CNN image here is unknown. But then Joe Rogan retweeted it. He tweeted it, and I'm not sure where he got it from, how many times this thing has been shared. But it just goes to show you all of that, the misinformation and confusing information that's being put out by people. Well, no sooner than do they go debunk the Steven Seagal in Ukraine story than I'm scrolling through TikTok, and I see this video right here. So if you can't see this on your screen, we've got a Mercedes sedan with a rifle on a bipod on top, manned by what appears to be Steven Seagal. So let's, and the headline here is, Steven Seagal spotted fighting in Ukraine. So let's watch this TikTok really quick.
Ukrainian security forces now hunting down.
The Russians
so they're saying that is Steven Seagal in Ukraine. And I saw this and I'm like, well, that looks just like Steven Seagal. Like there's Steven Seagal there, and we go back here. That looks like Steven Seagal. Even same uniform. So this is like a very similar looking uniform, camis, green body armor. So what I did was I said, okay, apparently that they're claiming that the original CNN photo was Steven Seagal in Killing Salazar. So I went and I looked at, like, you can look up this movie Killing Salazar. There's an entire bad version of it on YouTube. There's a trailer. it looks, it does not look like Steven Seagal was wearing that uniform in the movie Killing Salazar. He's wearing all blacked out everything in that movie. From what I could see, from the trailer, from trying to scroll through different parts in the movie, it appears that in that film, Steven Seagal is wearing blacked out body armor. Now, this other TikTok now is from, we got to talk about this now. So this uniform does look just like the uniform that we see Steven Seagal in this photo, which was the one that Joe Rogan retweeted. Okay, bear with me here. So then I said, okay, well, where does this video originate from? So this video originates from a Sky News story, Sky News being a, I believe, right-leaning media source. And I found the original video here. So here's the original video of the Steven Seagal character in Ukraine.
Ukrainian security forces now hunting down Russian saboteurs. Sky News filmed as men in plain clothes, supported by soldiers, arrested 2 men in a black SUV.
So what it appears to be here is now they're saying that this guy is actually a Ukrainian soldier, which would not be Steven Seagal. So then when you see him kind of here, the full body image, he looks like a leaner, meaner version of Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal's kind of let himself go since the good old days of Under Siege. He's a little bit of a thicker dude now, though the uniform does kind of match up. You can start to see differences here, like the multicam pattern on the plate carrier as opposed to here where it's just green in the other photo. So this is actually, by the way, guys, this is actually a debunked story. So this is not Steven Seagal. They've identified, or they claim to have identified who this is. Not Steven Seagal, by the way, so don't fall for this whole thing. But the question is, okay, so anyway, long story short, you see all this information flown around about Steven Seagal. People are saying it's not Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal has kind of gone Russian rogue in the recent years. So, but here's the thing, okay? So it's not really Steven Seagal. But here's the thing. Where is Steven Seagal? Where is Steven Seagal actually? Because over here, if you guys remember these stories we've covered in the recent past, talking about Steven Seagal being the face, good buddies with Vladimir Putin. I feel like I always say it wrong. So here is Steven Seagal hanging out with Vladimir Putin, and the headline from this article from The Guardian is Steven Seagal becomes the face of Russian arms firm. So this is Steven Seagal has become an unlikely business envoy for a pre-Russian revolutionary arms factory after agreeing to feature in adverts marketing its weapons in the U.S. So Steven Seagal is oddly embedded with Russian military and arms dealers. It is very strange. I don't actually know what to make of it. I have no idea what Steven Seagal is up to. If you go to Steven Seagal's I did the digging today. If you go to Steven Seagal's Instagram page, okay, here's the most recent clip of him, and it's from December 2021 in Dubai, posted by Mo Maj, somebody from the Emirates there, some leadership type person. So the last known sighting of Steven Seagal on his social media is in December in Dubai. What is he doing there? I don't know. He's just gone really off kilter. I don't know what to make of Steven Seagal these days. So where is Steven Seagal? What is Steven Seagal doing? I don't know. I really don't. But what I do know is I wouldn't trust him further than I can throw him. And I cannot throw Steven Seagal very far at all because he weighs probably 350 pounds. So whatever he is up to, I'd be curious. I'd be curious to find out where he really is right now. So don't believe that tweet, retweet, CNN, Joe Rogan thing. It's just more bad info coming out of the bad actors in the media about information coming from the boots on ground experience. Now, this is like what I was saying yesterday. It seems like people can't get to their phones fast enough. Can't get to their phones fast enough to retweet some bad information. And it's totally damaging to the situation on the ground. Imagine you're, fighting Russians in Ukraine right now. And, and then an American goes, hey, I heard Steven Seagal's coming after you guys. Sounds pretty crazy over there. Like, dude, shut up. You sound so stupid. You sound so dumb. It's mockery. it's a mockery of the situation in Ukraine is what it really is. So you just have to take everything that you're seeing in the news, regardless of who shares it, who tweets it, who posts it. You have to take everything. Even major news sites and people that I believe are acting in good faith have reshared footage from video games, calling it the Ghost of Kiev. You've got people resharing stuff from 2014, 2015. We're going to talk about some stuff here today that I've uncovered from some stories that I found that it calls into question the whole narrative over what's going on in Ukraine. So much contradictory information, but we're going to talk about it. But I want to say what's up to 1 gram of Sam in the chat. Great to see you. Harry Lime Pie, thank you for a $2 super chat. From a small acorn, the mighty oak will grow. I love that. MC, 99-cent super chat with that ice cream cone. I love that. Tiffany, what's up? Thank you guys for the super chats. It means a lot. MC says Max went down the rabbit hole on our behalf. Great research. Thank you very much. True Anonymous, CNN is fake news. There's enough fake news to go around. I'll say that. True Anonymous. Anonymous also being the name of a hacker group that's targeting Russian military websites. I just saw yesterday that that Anonymous claims to have released 2,000 pages of classified nuclear research material from the Russians' nuclear weapons department. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going on there? Names of soldiers. I don't know. That could do more harm than good. That could lead to all kinds of unintended consequences. So please, everyone, I don't know how many times I'm going to say it, but just please be careful with what you're sharing and what you're believing off of the internet, because right now I can almost guarantee you there are tons of people sitting down for dinner with their families going, Steven Seagal is fighting Ukrainians in Russia. I mean, Ukrainians in Ukraine on behalf of Russia. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. So just remember that there's tons of bad stuff out there. So take everything with a grain of salt. My wife asked me last night, so how do you know what to believe? And I said, well, look, I see stuff. I don't have any major reaction to it. I put it in my mind as information that I've now been exposed to. What my motto, my ethos, see what's really in front of me and accept it. See what's truly there and accept it. So if I see a piece of information online, what do I have? I've seen information. I don't know that that's true. I've just seen it. That's all that's actually happened. If I see something, somebody reshares it on Instagram or TikTok, all I know is that I've seen it. I don't know it. I don't know that it's true, but I've seen it. And now I should be on the alert to see things that corroborate or contradict it. With the state of the Jason Lou, what's up? Welcome to the chat. Great to see you. Been a minute. With the State of the Union happening right now, there's some breaking news today that is really crazy. And the fact that this story broke today on the day of the State of the Union had me wondering if Joe Biden is about to go up there and declare, war on Russia or something. That has not happened or anything like that. But when you hear news like this, you do question, how close are we to such an event happening? Army activates pre-positioned stocks for first time in wake of Ukrainian invasion. Break glass in case of emergency. Thousands of military vehicles being activated for the first time in history. So the 1st Armored Brigade Combat Team, 3rd Infantry Division soldiers deploying to Germany in response to the activation of NATO Response Force are being outfitted with thousands of vehicles and equipment pieces from Army Pre-Positioned Stocks TAC 2 for the first time in the program's history. The pre-positioned stocks are stockpiles of equipment and gear waiting for rapidly mobilized. First of all, how many people even knew that this existed? If you even knew that this was a thing, comment it. And being that this is Army pre-positioned stocks too, for all the military experts out there, how many stocks are there and where are the other ones? I ask you in the chat. So the pre-positioned stocks are stockpiles of equipment and gear waiting for rapidly mobilized units to tap into during the international military crisis. And for the first time in the 405th Army Field Support Brigade's history, the unit was tasked with outfitting an entire brigade as soldiers from Fort Stewart, Georgia, deployed to Europe in the past few days. Pre-positioned equipment and rations is a Cold War-era idea that would have helped U.S. forces rapidly respond to a Soviet assault in West Germany without having to wait on their own unit's shipment of gear. Basically, in other words, it's a lot easier and faster to move 1,000 people than it is to move 1,000 trucks. believe it or not, you can move tanks, helicopters, trucks in the back of a cargo plane. But you can only fit a couple. There's so many concerns. How far is this plane flying? What's the maximum payload that it can carry? How many of these are going to be shot down in case of a war? Can these fly? Are there enough planes to rapidly deploy enough vehicles to have a rapid response to a Russian threat? All these questions. So what the United States seems to have done is just created an inventory of vehicles strategically placed to respond to a wartime threat immediately. Very smart. So the break they describe right here as a break glass type of situation. Soldiers would only touch the stocks in case of war, which is why the utilization of APS-2 in the conflict between Ukraine and Russia is historic. It signifies the seriousness of the invasion and the ramifications it may have for Europe and U.S. military members stationed and deployed into the region. Soldiers from all 4 battalions of the 405th worked tirelessly in the first few weeks of February to prep their respective APS-2 sites as tensions with Russia escalated. I imagine you're a Motor T guy who's got to dust the cobwebs off of 800 military vehicles. Yeah, that's not that. You imagine you're the lieutenant who's like got to do the inventory on every piece of equipment inside those things. Radios got to go inside those things because most likely, any sensitive equipment would be stored separately. This is just what I'm thinking right here. I'm just coming up with this right now, off the cuff, spiffballing, if you will. But if all these vehicles are stored somewhere, you're not going to keep all the weapons will be somewhere else. All the radios and comms equipment will be somewhere else. So these vehicles would be like waiting to be prepped. Shells with, imagine if you've ever seen how can I describe it? Like an audio visual or a musician's rack. You've got, your all your mixers, all your interfaces, a computer rack with a bunch of components in it. That's like what the inside of a Humvee is like, and then you got to start putting stuff in there. You've got your Blue Force tracker, your radio. You've got, weapon stores, ammo. You've got to put the pintle mount on there for your machine gun. Then you got to put the machine gun. Ammo and weapons are stored separately, all this stuff. So imagine you're the Motor T guys and the Camo guys and everything, and they're like, hey, those 1,000 vehicles in that basement that nobody's touched in 30 years? We're touching them. They're about to get touched. We're about to touch the shit out of those things, like for real. So that's what's going on right now over there, I guess. So it says nearly 7,000 soldiers from Fort Stewart, Georgia, were mobilized February 24th in the immediate wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We're grateful to our allies in Canada, the United States, for the recent commitment to deploy an additional 7,400, including an armored brigade combat team, artillery, naval frigate, and surveillance aircraft to support the alliance-wide efforts, said Air Force General Todd, whose name's spelled wrong, T-O-D. Who spells her name T-O-D? Walters. Walters also spelt wrong, W-O-L-T-E-R-S. I don't trust this guy. Head of U.S. Eurocom Command, UCOM. Why did I say Eurocom? UCOM. So they're issuing out tracked vehicles like the M1 Abrams and the M2 Bradley. They also have Paladins, generators, JLTVs. If you don't know, big generators, if you've never been on an op where you mobilize a unit like this, you've got to take giant diesel generators to have power out there. This is a massive undertaking, right? You're going to have probably big light stands, mobile light stands, things to set up mobile bases, things like that. The execution of the APS-2 ECHA operations is a complex and challenging task that truly requires a robust team effort and to ensure mission success. The task of organizing and issuing APS-2 was a multi-unit effort, Milkowski said. She cited support given by U.S. Army Garrison Bavaria, 7th Army Training Command, 624th Movement Control Team, 16th Sustainment Brigade, 409th Contracting Support, 21st Theater Sustainment Command, U.S. Army Sustainment Command. Yeah, absolutely. All this stuff. Incredible to see so many diverse organizations. How did diversity? And then they work diversity into there. Okay, that's fine. It is incredible to see so many diverse organizations come together to enable our team to rapidly receive, stage, and issue ABCTs. I think they just mean diverse in jobs, but, come on. Always signaling. More than 600 pieces of equipment were initially drawn down from the 405th. Thousands of pieces of equipment will continue to be drawn and shipped to Grafenvar to support 1st ABCT soldiers as their European deployment progresses. Interesting choice of words. As their European deployment progresses. Imagine you're like standing in formation. It's 18 degrees outside. You're looking at 900 vehicles, and you've just been told you're leaving home for an unknown amount of time. And your commander looks at you and said, as this deployment progresses, we're going to keep outfitting you guys with new stuff. And then you just drop your rucksack and go, we're never going home. That's exactly what I would be thinking in that moment. So, man, bravo Zulu, and shout out to everyone deployed in Europe right now from the Army and other units. That's got to be incredibly stressful and difficult to be dealing with. So, wow. Just wow. Just wow. So, good luck out there, everybody. Let's see. Let's see what happens in the State of the Union tonight. What's up in the chat? Knowing that Steven Seagal is real is significant emotional event. Sam says, nice. People need to learn to think for themselves. That's absolutely true. The problem here is you have a lot of gullibility and people will believe everything that's told to them. True Anonymous says. That's true. I heard the Ghost of Kiev is really Tom Cruise from the new Top Gun. Yeah. I mean, how is Top Gun not just being released right now? They better not delay it. Cannabis Enchantress, what's up? I wonder how much inflation is going to go up now with this whole Russia thing. It's going to go up a lot. The government's already basically said as much. John Franco says, I only dealt with Prepo stock in Fort Polk. They were junk vehicles. Ooh. Yeah, and are those vehicles been modified since the Cold War to be mine resistant, to be upgraded for modern weapons and radios and stuff? Have they been working on those things this whole time, or is that just like literally brushing the dust off and clearing the cobwebs out? Has anyone heard anything about Leavenworth being possibly investigated after an airman died there? I was told this a few days ago, but I feel like it's a BS story. Cannabis Enchantress, I have not heard that, and I am like the person who would hear that, I feel like. Is the battalion run canceled because it's 18 degrees outside? Nah, that's right, Sam. By the way, pick up the Fast Movers t-shirt, now available at scuttlebuttshow.com if you want to support airplanes. If you want to support airstrikes, go pick up the Fast Movers shirt. I was watching the that 40-mile-long convoy going into Ukraine, going towards Kiev, and I was talking to somebody this morning, and I was like, dude, that thing's an airstrike waiting to happen. That's the worst strategically set up convoy in the history of convoys. It's miles of vehicles, bumper to bumper, in a single file line. You could clear that whole convoy out with targeted airstrikes in half a day. Some people would be like, it's in 30 seconds. But the truth is, it's not as simple as that. You'll have squirters. You'll have defenses set up, anti-air defenses. It would be probably pretty complicated, but it seems like the United States, for example, would be able to wipe out that entire convoy in just a day's work off of an aircraft carrier or something. So kind of crazy. Let's talk about something a little bit more regular Scuttlebutt Show stuff right here. Unfortunately, I reworked the whole show today, like right before the show started, because of a bunch of news I was seeing. So all this stuff is like, all brand new news to me. Some of this stuff's a couple days old, but I just learned a ton of news this morning. Veteran statue vandalized outside Kansas City homeless shelter on Friday night. What a bummer to get a story like this. So a memorial honoring Kansas City veterans outside the Hope Faith Homeless Day shelter in Kansas City was vandalized Friday night. It was caught on surveillance footage, and we're going to watch that here in a second. But at a time when veteran homelessness and homelessness in general seems to be reaching a breaking point in the United States, somebody would walk by a veterans memorial and just destroy it for no reason. So somebody walks by and you've got boots, a gun, and a helmet, the Soldier's Cross, as you might know it. Somebody walks up and just destroys the whole thing. Let's watch the security footage here, and we can talk about this. But look, this is sad stuff to see. Why does this got to happen? So those are, you see your suspects on the top left of the footage there, walking by. They must have said, like, hey, you know what? Screw this place, man. Screw veterans. Screw the veteran homeless shelter. What has this place ever done for us? So this guy goes up on there, little patch of grass, and you're going to see him knock it down and maybe grab it and run. Grab it and run there. So what a huge bummer of a thing to do. Then they run down what's called Admiral Road. After they take the stuff, they bail out down Admiral Road. It says 2 years ago, Hope Faith erected the statue after finding about 6% of those they help come from a military background, which is a small percentage. That number is likely higher, though. Some people are discreet about their military service if they did not travel overseas or were dishonorably discharged, implying that some people are not proud of their service because they either got kicked out or they feel like they didn't do their part, so they're less likely to declare it. We wanted to let our veterans know, yes, it is okay to come in for services, and we're going to be there for you. They're a proud group, and sometimes they don't want to seek help. Very true. Langer filed a report Saturday with Kansas City Police Department. Additional information from the police department was not immediately available. If you know anything out there in Kansas City, I'm sure you can report it to the police and make it known. Wild. People who deface, statues, people who deface memorials like that, grave sites, it's a very cowardly act. There's no it's something you do because you think you're going to get away with it, because you believe that you somehow have this entitlement to destroy somebody else's things. I don't understand it, but it would be interesting to hear somebody explain why they feel the need to destroy things that have been erected to memorialize things. I don't know. Things that are generally good, generally understood to be good things. I don't know. It's not me. Not my thing. I'm not into destroying other people's property or things that are not mine. It's kind of like when the big protests in the United States are going on last year, I said, hey, why don't you destroy your own house? If you feel so good about destroying things, just destroy your own house. Prove it. We'll see. See if that ever happens. So H-Nah in the chat says, I'm going with 30 seconds for simultaneous time on target. That would be, that would for sure be, that would be good. There's no better sound in the world than weapon away, 30-second time in flight. And you just wait that 30 seconds to see that massive explosion. MC says, if this isn't replaced, I'll make it my mission to do so. Keep us posted, Max. MC, that's awesome. Love that. I will. I hope whoever did that gets caught. What a POS, Tiffany says. Sam says, what a POS. Cold Comfort said, brr, the A-10 sound. Just A-10's wet dream, that convoy, yep. Did that convoy come under any form of indirect fire? Indirect fire as well, meaning like mortar attacks, mortar strikes. Yeah, we did witness, not here on the show, but I have seen, so the public has seen, I guess, footage of a Ukrainian airstrike on some vehicles from that convoy, and they actually did blow some up, and there were casualties. You can go find that probably on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or something like that, but yes, they have struck that convoy. I can't believe not more. It's a military target. It's shocking to me. I'm shocked that that convoy still stands. It's pretty crazy. This is a story from last week, but I want to get to it really quick because now we have some footage here. This is kind of wild. Heard a pop, say kids on a field trip who had to see a fatal helicopter crash at a Navy missile range in Hawaii. A helo went down last week, creating 4 casualties. It was a group on a tour over a Navy range out there. So there were kids on a field trip to Hawaii missile range while onlookers who saw a fatal helicopter crash at the facility. Chloe Ayanen, who's 13, told Hawaii News Now, we heard a pop. We didn't know what it was. Our tour guides had no clue, and then they said it was an aircraft. But did they say that the aircraft crashed? The crash was at 10 a.m. local time on February 22nd, so I was kind of waiting to hear more information about this before I talked about it. A civilian contractor helicopter operated by Croman Corporation crashed at the Pacific Missile Range facility on Kauai, killing 4 employees aboard, the Navy said. We walked outside. There was this big smoke cloud. The FAA is investigating. Croman Corporation describes itself on a website as one of the most experienced operators of Sikorsky S-61 helicopters in the world. The Pacific Missile Range facility, Barking Sands, is the world's largest instrumental multi-environmental range, according to its website. And here is the video.
They're investigating a deadly chopper crash at a U.S. Navy facility in Hawaii.
Crazy.
4 civilians were killed when their Sikorsky
look at that smoke
helicopter went
cloud
down during a training operation in Kauai. The victims working for a defense contractor. The investigation underway tonight.
So that's the crash there. Kind of wild that happened. So, man, to the families of those who were on that crash, that's horrible. That's really sad. I hope they're doing okay. And to the kids who had to see that, that's kind of traumatic too. You don't want to, a bunch of kids on a field trip to see that. So I hope, they're doing okay with that. They might be, they might not be. Hopefully they are, I guess. But that's just something that I heard about that I wanted you guys to know about. So Techno Ruffle says it's almost as if Ukraine has no air superiority. Interesting question to pose. Buford, what's up after Taco Bell? More like a jet afterburner. Nice. Feels just as hot too. Nice, nice, nice. That's why I kind of avoid Taco Bell. But I am super excited to get back to San Diego this summer and enjoy some good Mexican food. I cannot wait to get a California burrito with some crispy French fries and good old guacamole with a bunch of good hot sauce. Oh, my stomach is growling just thinking about it. Oh, I'm so hungry. I could definitely eat right now some good San Diego Mexican food. You know who probably wishes that they could relax and eat some good old-fashioned, San Diego Old Town Mexican food is this gentleman right here. Marine Corps fires senior enlisted leader of 47,000-strong expeditionary force. In other words, first meth. What was he fired for? Let's find out. It's a great relief to me that my wife and I aren't going to this command anymore. This was almost where we went. We were going to transfer here. The Marine Corps has fired the senior enlisted leader of 47,000 1st Marine Strong 1st MEF at Camp Pendleton. Sergeant Major Terrence Whitcomb he was the Sergeant Major of 1st MEF, was relieved by Lieutenant General George Smith Jr., the commanding general, due to a loss of trust and confidence in his abilities to fulfill his assigned duties, the force's public affairs office said in a statement. The statement did not say who would assume the role of Sergeant Major of the force in Whitcomb's absence. Based in Southern California, 1st MEF is the largest such force in the service with a long history of combat deployments. As the unit Sergeant Major, Whitcomb was the senior enlisted leader of all the Marines and sailors who are in that command. Whitcomb joined in 1993. He served as a personnel clerk, admin chief, and drill instructor, an instructor of drill instructors, and in other. So he was a drill instructor, and he taught the drill instructor course, which is what they say is a really hard course to go through, and in other roles across his 29-year career. He deployed as an administrative chief with 3rd MAW, 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2005, then with 1st MARDIV as a company first sergeant in 2007, then a 3rd time to the Middle East as part of a Special Purpose Marine Air Ground Task Force, MAGTAF, sometime between 2016 and 2018, which could have been involving ISIS. The unit's public affairs office did not immediately respond to a request for more information. Well, when you're a personnelman, you get trash talked a lot, and maybe you just couldn't take it anymore, and he went a little mad with power. Maybe he got tired of being called a pencil pusher, a paper pusher, a pogue, and he said, "I'm just going to start making my command pretty toxic indeed." And now we're here, relieved, loss of confidence. It is sad. I do wonder, like with this nice photo of the gentleman right here, just like, hanging out with Marines, everyone's laughing. You do wonder, like I've seen some senior leaders who experienced some tragic endings to their career, who are otherwise great people, like great leaders. And then, something happens. I don't know, the military career environment gets to them, they start to go a little wacko, have some bad things, some bad outcomes at the end, and then end their career in a little bit of a, not a disgrace, but certainly not the way you would want it to end. And so I guess that might be what's happening here. Hopefully it wasn't anything too crazy or scary like that, but or too bad, but we'll see if we can find out more information as time goes on. Quick story here, and then on to something that's absolutely going to blow your mind, because we got to keep it moving if we want to get through today's episodes. And then I have something for you at the end that, if you're anything like me, you're going to love. So stick around to the end. Navy airlifts hiker with possible head and spinal injuries after a 30-foot fall on Guam. Shout out to the crew of this helicopter at HSC 25 for rescuing a hiker in Guam. Guam's known for having beautiful outdoor things to do. Hiking, diving, swimming. I've been to Guam once, and I can say that they also have cool stuff to do inside, like drinking and going to dancing clubs. And by dancing clubs, you can infer what I mean, I guess. First responders in a U.S. Navy helicopter rescued an injured woman who fell approximately 30 feet while hiking on Guam. The fall happened Friday morning during a group outing at the Seti Bay hiking trails in Umatak, about 8 miles south of Naval Base Guam. according to a release from the Guam Fire Department. They responded to reach the 35-year-old woman at 11:25 a.m. and began medical treatment. Meanwhile, the U.S. Coast Guard Sector Guam informed HSC-25 of a fallen hiker with possible head and spine injuries. Squadron spokesman Lieutenant J.G. Juan Suarez told Stars and Stripes the squadron dispatched an MH-60 Sierra, my alma mater there, from Anderson Air Force Base to the scene where the crew picked up the patient. The crew's flight surgeon treated the woman for her injuries and wrote to Naval Hospital Guam. She arrived at 12:25. According to the fire department, remaining members of her hiking party returned on foot to finish the hike. The injured woman's status was not immediately clear, but I hope that she's doing well and recovering and at least getting the treatment that she needs. Shout out to HSC-25, a cool squadron out there in San Diego. The Special Forces Helo Squadron. To which I say, they would hate that. Any HSC-25 people out here would hate that, but, you know, they walk around, or at least for a period of time, or at least some people from HSC-25 would walk around with this such a big ego because they're part of HSC-25. You would have, you know, AZ's, Aviation Administration, being like, if you want to roll with the big boys, you got to come to HSC-25. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Just another squadron. Like, relax, man. So it was, anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little tough on them after they rescue somebody out from the hiking trails in Guam. But anyway, bravo Zulu to that crew. I'll leave it at that. Don't forget to hit the like button, Tiffany says. I actually love that. I think you meant like button, but I like life button. Hit that life button to get some life. Everyone out there, hit it twice. Love that. Something I've learned over the years, being E9 in any branch of service does not mean you were safe from the UCMJ. Yeah, you got to be an 05 and above for that. I hate people making fun of Pogues because the tip of the spear would be nothing without the staff. Interesting. It's true. I hate people making... Oh, yeah, I just read that one. I want my gloves back, Sam says. You deserve your gloves back. Cold Comfort says, I purchased 800 rubber gloves for our fire department today, Sammy. I'll save you a pair. Nice. Awesome work. 800. Whew. Yes, that's a lot of gloves. 800 rubber gloves. Like nitrile disposable gloves. Because then that's not enough. So... this next story, man, I hope we have time to cover this whole thing. I read this next story, like, wow, what is this? What is this? This next story's crazy. I read through this, and I'm going to give you guys the important parts here of this next story, which is like, I mean, it's mind-boggling. There's so much to unpack here. So let's not delay. Let's get into it. Army vet charged in Florida double murder may remain at large in Ukraine. Fighting for Ukraine or Russia, an extremist. There's a lot to unpack here. Let's talk about it. Russia's invasion of Ukraine prompted thousands of people to leave the Eastern European country. But should North Carolina native Craig Lang depart Ukraine and return to the United States, he could immediately be taken into custody by federal authorities. Imagine being a fugitive from justice in America, and you flee to a country and then war breaks out there and you're faced with returning to the United States to face accountability for your crimes or fighting for your life in that country. Well, I'm not very sympathetic to this person because that's exactly what's happening to Craig Lang, who is the 32-year-old U.S. Army veteran turned murder suspect who previously moved to Ukraine, is one of two former soldiers accused in the killing of husband and wife Danny and Deanna Lorenzo in Southwest Florida nearly 4 years ago. FBI investigators say that the Lorenzos, the husband and wife, were also military veterans. They were fatally shot in April 2018 in an Estero parking lot after they traveled 3 hours to respond to an online firearms advertisement. So they thought they were going there to buy a weapon, and when they got there, they were ambushed and killed. They found 63 bullet casings at the scene, and the Lorenzo's vehicle riddled in bullets. So they rolled right up to an ambush, and then 63 rounds that's a lot. That's a lot. I don't know how to express how many that is to a layperson on the subject, but let's just put it this way. You've reloaded multiple times. Like during that gunfight, this person reloaded multiple times, most likely. The Lorenzo's family is, of course, heartbroken over this. They are left with questions and demanding justice because of the non-extradition status of Ukraine. Residents of the Fort Myers suburb that this happened and were left mystified about the alleged ambush for more than a year until the DOJ announced federal charges against Lang and his co-defendant Alex Zwefhofer in connection with the Lorenzo's deaths. Zwefhofer was taken into federal custody in 2019 in Wisconsin and pled not guilty. Lang has yet to appear before a federal judge and has denied involvement in the Florida murders and has fought extradition back to the United States. Relatives of the Lorenzos want justice. In the spring of 2021, ABC News actually traveled to Ukraine to look for Lang, and they found him living just a normal life with his new Ukrainian wife and child. What? Lang was previously arrested for brandishing a gun near the home of one of his American ex-wives after he went AWOL from the Army, agreed to an on-camera interview with ABC News investigative correspondent David Scott, and then refused to answer questions during the interview about the murders. I can't discuss anything about Florida or pretty much anything about my time in the United States in 2018. I can't talk about any of that, he says. But what he does say is quite interesting. When the DOJ continues to seek his extradition, Lang told Scott that he is seeking asylum in Ukraine. I believe that the United States government intends to prosecute me and other veterans of this conflict for our service here in Ukraine, he said, arguing that he is a victim of Russian propaganda and American political prosecution. After being discharged by the U.S. Army, he says he first arrived in Ukraine around 2016 and joined far-right militias, such as the Azov Battalion and Right Sector. Both groups have been accused of human rights abuses by Amnesty International and have alleged ties to American white power organizations. What? Lang denies that he is a right-wing extremist. I'm going to say that the amount of neo-Nazis or people with extreme views is very, very minimal, very, very minimal, he said. There is extremism to a small degree. There might be some extremism, yes, he says. This is insane. Since Russia's 2014 invasion of Crimea to bolster its defenses against those in its eastern region seeking to separate from Ukraine and join Russia, Ukraine has relied on local militia groups, some of which have been linked to the nation's far-right political movements by Amnesty International and the Sufan Center. Such battalions with ties to Ukraine's far-right fringe political parties may have empowered Russian President Vladimir Putin to spread false messages that denazification was the goal of the invasion. Because what Vladimir Putin says is that he needs to go into Ukraine because Ukraine's got a Nazi problem. Scott questioned Lang about the far-right ideology reportedly behind the Azov Battalion, but Lang said that he did not think that the group's membership included anyone with extremist views. Over an hour into the conversation, after being pressed on racist statements reportedly made by former Azov Battalion Commander Andriy Belitsky, Lang ended the interview and said, "I'm going to go ahead and leave." Lang is one of the number of Americans reportedly either have traveled to Ukraine in the last decade to fight far-right paramilitary groups or have sought to do so. And the FBI alleged that Jarrett William Smith, an Army veteran who pled guilty in 2020 to federal charges of distributing information related to explosives, destructive devices, and weapons of mass destruction, had a desire to fight in Ukraine and communicated with Lang on Facebook. It was as if Smith wanted to use the Army to get the training that he needed to be successful going overseas, fighting on behalf of this white supremacist organization. So this article is alleging that Ukraine is full of white supremacist, neo-Nazi, far-right extremist organizations who have been empowered by the conflict in Ukraine. Either empowered to be more criminal because now the country is at war, or empowered to be more separatist from Ukraine and potentially take over the government. Smith, who ultimately did not fight in Ukraine, said Lang called him an extremist and confirmed that they connected on Facebook, but said that he turned Smith away from his Ukrainian unit. "I wasn't going out and recruiting people. I wasn't saying, oh, come out and join us," Lang said. "What was happening is I was simply a point of contact for a lot of foreigners that came into this country, and there's a lot of good people that came into the country." It does make me wonder. It does make me wonder how many Americans right now have been in contact with groups like this. This is, I don't want to say, I don't know, but if I had to guess, I would say that these groups are using this time in Ukraine to recruit as many people as possible from the international community to come join them in Ukraine. Sounds like that to me. Does it sound like that to you guys? Americans have gone to fight as mercenary soldiers in far-right and paramilitary units in Ukraine. University of Chicago assistant professor Kathleen Bielu said. they do pose a threat to their homeland. Lang and Zwiefhofer are American, but the FBI said that the two alleged murderers initially met in eastern Ukraine more than 5 years ago while fighting for a far-right militia against Russian-backed separatists. What? So are you saying that in this article from ABC News that far-right militias were fighting against non-far-right militias who wanted to become pro-Russia? What are the implications of that? That is what Putin said. Federal prosecutors allege that after returning to the United States together with Lang and Zwiefhofer, came up with the plot to rob and kill the Lorenzos in 2018 to fund a planned travel to Venezuela. So they were actually going to rob the Lorenzos so that they could get to Venezuela. Horrible thing to do and a horrible way to go about that. The poor Lorenzo family, sounds like. At some point after Lorenzo's death, Lang ended up back in Ukraine and said he became an English instructor despite being wanted on Florida federal criminal charges. So while many Americans left Ukraine ahead of the Russian invasion, some groups made recent efforts to encourage others to do the opposite. In January, an international message board for neo-Nazis urged American followers to join far-right militias and help fight Russian troops and pro-Russian separatists in Ukraine, where local civilian fighters had been prepared to assist the Ukrainian military due to the mobilization of Russian forces. This effort came a month before Putin falsely claimed that he is looking to rid Ukraine of Nazis and suggested that the country's far right has control of the government. His pretext for war. Or is that true? Like, what is going on? To counter that, Ukraine's president is Jewish, according to the Center for International Security and Cooperation at Stanford. Russia has had its own extremist militias fighting alongside Russian-based separatists in Ukraine. This article has upended the entire discussion on this whole topic. One important thing to understand about white power and militant right groups is that they are fundamentally opportunistic. When we have all groups are. When we have a major point of tension, like we're seeing in Ukraine right now, it's very, very likely that actors will exploit that tension. So how many people are currently being recruited from the United States to go to Ukraine who are going to end up fighting alongside these extremist groups, I wonder? There will certainly be some, and I'm sure that there will be some who don't mean to. There will be some who unintentionally have ended up in this situation, right? I mean, right? That's bound to happen. It's inevitable. What do you guys think of that? How crazy is that? So Lang, we're waiting to see what ends up happening. If he flees Ukraine to another country that extradites, they could pick him up there, Interpol or something, and send him back to the United States. But if he remains in Ukraine and continues to fight, he'll just probably get away with murder. So please leave me a comment letting me know what you think about that. Does that information kind of change your whole perception of what's going on in Ukraine at all? And I also saw a TikTok yesterday of a guy claiming to be in Kiev, an American living in Kiev, who said that when the government of Ukraine started handing out weapons to local militias, those militias basically became like the mob and started owning the streets and shaking down citizens of Ukraine because they had they had power and they were basically militarized or deputized to do things that otherwise they wouldn't be allowed to do. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just telling you something that I saw. I just saw that, okay? This guy did sound pro-Russia in his TikTok. It just more muddies and confuses the situation. But I just want you guys to have this information so that you can make decisions. Or maybe you have this information now and then you hear something in the future and you reference this back and, I don't know, helps you choose what to think or what direction you want to go. That's up to you guys. I just want you to know it. That's some scuttlebutt right there, huh? Corporal, $9.99 super chat. Holy smokes, thank you so much. Salute back at you. Absolutely, my friend. Nice to see you. What's going on in the comments here? Imperious Grim, what's up? Is this true, Steven Seagal in Ukraine right now? I guess it's up in the air. If you go back to the beginning of the episode, if you rewind back, it was the first story we covered today, so please go back to the beginning and watch our whole coverage. The pictures you've seen online are probably not true, but is it true that Steven Seagal is fighting with Russia and Ukraine? Could be. Seems like it could be. Cannabis says, I'm not from America, but that's all I hear since I've lived here, and I rarely have seen true racism or an actual Nazi. Yeah, I think I have actually seen people in the military who had some like swastikas tattooed, covered up on their bodies, but you know, there's definitely some of that. I mean, it's definitely some of that stuff is true. I've covered stories about very true accounts of it on this show. There are people out there like that. Is it like what the news wants you to believe? I don't think so. But I'm planning on doing a story later this week, maybe tomorrow. That'll maybe add to that a little bit. I feel like I might have an idea of what a Nazi is, but hey, what the fudge do I know? Because you're from Germany. Yep. So I've got one more story for you guys today. And there might be nothing in the world, even war, that I care about more than this next story. I'm trying to think how strongly can I express how excited I am for this next story. Seriously, it's difficult to put into words. I want to cry. I want to cry. I could cry right now. Tears of joy. Dinosaurs will battle during the Vietnam War in Primitive War movie. Soldiers versus dinosaurs in Vietnam coming to a theater near you? Yes, sign me up. When and where? I'll pay anything. Yes, please. This is what we need. This is what America and the world needs right now. Have you guys ever heard of the book Primitive War? Because it's coming to a theater near you. Dinosaurs in Nam. Viet freaking Nam. Sometimes all you need is a high concept gimmick to grab someone's attention, and dinosaurs in the Vietnam War certainly qualifies. THR has reported, and it's from JoeBlow.com movie review website. THR has reported that Luke Spark is set to write and direct a movie adaptation of Ethan Pettis' Primitive War book series. Set in Vietnam in 1968, the Primitive War movie will follow a search and rescue team known as the Vulture Squad sent to an isolated jungle valley to reveal the fate of missing Green Beret platoon. As they hunt through the primordial depths of the valley and the casualties mount, the Vulture Squad members must embrace their savage instincts to survive the horrors they face, including the ultimate apex predators, dinosaurs. Yes. Says here, I won't lie, I'm down for this. Development on the Primitive War movie is moving forward with casting expected to get underway soon for a shoot later this year. And it's being made by the filmmaker who created the film Occupation Rainfall. And there's a trailer for that here. It actually looks kind of good, starring Ken Jeong. You guys can check this out if you want to, Occupation Rainfall, if you want to know what this filmmaker's capable of. But the only thing that matters to me in the whole entire world is that we're getting a movie with dinosaurs and soldiers in Vietnam. I mean, what more in the world do we need right now? Seriously. What could be better than that? Let's just look at this. Let's just look at this screenshot again. Can I zoom in on this and enhance? Look at this. Zoom and enhance on this. Is this what kind of dinosaur is this again? Help me out here. I was going to say, I know I was going to say the wrong thing. It's oh my gosh, can't think of it right now. Not a Stegosaurus, right? Not a Brontosaurus. What is this dinosaur right here? Help me out in the chat, in the comments. What is this dinosaur? We've got, look at these guys jumping around, firing. This guy's, firing into the leg of his friend with his weapon NDing right there. It's chaos over here. We got a pterodactyl in the background there maybe. This looks like a dinosaur on the left side of the screen here. Another dinosaur horn right here. Flares are going off. Like, this is awesome. It looks, this guy's got his pistol out. Like, crazy. Just crazy. With big-ass trees in the background. Like, these trees are, if you look at the scale of these trees to the people and dinosaurs, it's like they're going, to a land before time where everything was just bigger for some reason. Like, trees were 1 million years old. Triceratops? I was going to say Triceratops, but that didn't sound right to me for some reason. Yeah, I guess it is a Triceratops, huh? Thank you in the chat for letting me know Triceratops. So, wow. I just can't put into words how good I feel about this. We needed news like this. America needed news like this, and the Scuttlebutt Show brought it to you. That's what I'm talking about, guys. Make sure you're subscribed. I encourage you to click that join button down below this video if you want to support the channel. I encourage you to go to scuttlebuttshow.com and check out the merch that we have over there, like this Fast Movers t-shirt that I'm wearing right now. You can pick this up. I'll show you the back of it right here. We carry a heavy load. It's just an awesome shirt. You're going to want one of these for sure. And we have big stuff coming up. We have the author of Bywater Beneath the Walls, Ben Milligan, my new favorite book about naval history and naval special warfare. It's going to be one of the best episodes we've ever had on March 8th. Make sure you're sticking around for that. Notifications on, so that way you get the bell when we do go live, which is Sunday through Thursday, 1800 Pacific Standard Time. This is going to be a big month, March, in the Scuttlebutt Show here. We have a lot of cool stuff coming up, I can tell you that. And we're going to continue to follow what's going on with Ukraine and the information that's coming out on the news. And I'm going to bring you guys what I believe to be the best and helpful information that I can, even if it's just debunking information. Corporal, go back and rewatch the beginning of the episode to talk about Steven Seagal and all the weird stuff going on with him. I know everyone out there appears to be as excited as I am for the new movie coming out. It's probably just going to be called Primitive War, I assume. Can't wait. Cannot wait. How do they pitch this idea in the good idea room, Sam says? They probably just said dinosaurs and Nam. March 8th, let's go. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So, with all that being said, let's see. Justin just tuned in. What was that about slinging big loads? Oh, yeah. We carry heavy loads on the Fast Movers shirt here. Available at scuttlebuttshow.com for fast movers, for jets. We can get a Hilo shirt going too. That's a good idea. We do need to get a Hilo shirt going. We sling loads. We sling big loads. I like that a lot, actually. Well, I'll get to work on that. So, guys, with all that being said, I'm going to take off and watch the State of the Union, which I hope everyone gets a chance to check out. I recommend listening without commentary. I recommend just really listening to the words that you hear in your own mind. Just be quiet and listen so that you can make good choices. So, or, make your own opinions, I guess I should say. Make your own opinions. Make your own opinions. Be an independent thinker. Challenge everything. And with all that being said, I look forward to talking to you all very soon. For now, that's the Scuttlebutt.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.